All right. Oh, let me turn that down just a little bit, get that adjusted. I'm so sorry about that, y'all. I was actually in a meeting earlier. My mic was working just fine. I suppose it could be because Zoom is still using my microphone rather than OBS. So I do apologize for that. Let's go ahead and get started again. Sorry to take 5 minutes away from y'all. All right. So, hey, good evening, you guys. My name is Dan Whitfield. I'm the progressive Democrat running for United States Senate here in Arkansas to unseat and replace Senator John Bozeman. And I do a weekly live stream update Q&A every single Saturday night, starting at approximately 6 p.m. Central, which we're going to be about 5 minutes late tonight because I was having some audio issues and I've got 5 different screens up. I didn't see all comments. Thank you so much, honey, for letting me know. All right. So we have quite a bit to go over this evening. I have some good news. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily good news, but we have updates for our court hearing for ballot access from the 2020 campaign to unseat and replace Senator Tom Cotton. We finally got some news on that, so I'll go over that in detail with y'all. And I'm going to let you guys see our different docket. I'll go through the docket and show y'all what's going on there. And we'll talk about that for just a little bit towards about halfway through my live stream here. But I wanted to take a little bit to talk about the crazy weather that we've been having here in Arkansas and, of course, over in Texas. And I know, I hope y'all were able to stay safe and stay warm through this extremely dangerous weather. I know it was really the amount of snow we got in different areas fluctuated a lot, where we only got like 4 to 6 inches here in Northwest Arkansas, and y'all down in Central Arkansas just got a ton of snow. So I hope you all were able to stay warm, stay safe, and enjoy it. Take your little ones sledding and whatnot. Um, my heart goes out to everybody who was suffering from the problems that this storm brought, because a lot of people lost their electricity. A lot of people were unable to bring heat into their homes, couldn't afford the utility bills to bring heat into their homes. I know there was a space heater shortage. People had water pipes bursting in their homes and they didn't have potable water to drink. I know there was food shortages in specific areas. So I hope you all were able to stay safe and try to enjoy some of this beautiful weather at the same time. Now, um, Texas is currently under a state of major disaster, and I can't remember the last time we had a state in a major disaster because of a natural disaster. So my heart goes out to all the Texans out there right now suffering through all this. I believe there's something like 2.7 million Texans who were without power for an extended period of time. We had entire cities whose water systems burst and froze over. So there's flooding going on, and it's just really terrible everything happening in Texas. And I wanted to take a second also to thank AOC and all of the representatives who are currently in Texas right now helping to distribute food and funds. I think AOC was able to raise more than $4 million to help Texans out today, which was just absolutely amazing. No thanks to Senator Ted Cruz, who decided to hop out of Texas and go on a beach vacation to Cancun to drink margaritas instead. But I mean, I don't want to say fortunately, but he did come back today due to the public shaming. But as a representative, you shouldn't have to be publicly shamed to make the correct choice. You should just, maybe it's not a good idea to leave my constituents hanging right now in this state of major disaster. But he is back now after blaming his kids for making him go. Um, I don't want to talk a whole lot about that. But I did want to talk about how I was really proud of Arkansas's local and state government here, how we were able to have the infrastructure in place to keep our roadways clear and to keep, for the most part, our Kansans safe, warm, and healthy during this just dangerous weather. I know there were times when we had sub-zero temperatures and it was just extremely cold. So thank you guys so much for your hard work out there and keeping as many people as they could safe on the roadways. Let's see here. Now, one thing I did want to talk about. Let's see here. All right. So a lot of people complain about having to pay local taxes, say for infrastructure, for roadways and such, and the Department of Transportation. Well, if you look here on the left side of the picture, is it the left side on yours? Nope, it's the right side on your screen. If you look here at the right side of your screen, then you'll see this is Arkansas. And on the left side of the picture is Texas. Now, Texas hasn't been funding their roadways as well as Arkansas has. They've been cutting taxes. And because of that, we were actually able to take care of our roadways to keep people safe. And there's a very clear distinction. Right down the middle is our state border, how Arkansas took care of the roads versus Texas, because we had the funding in place and the infrastructure to um, be prepared for a dangerous storm such as this. So kudos to the Arkansas local and state governments for being able to uh, keep us safe when we needed y'all the most. Let's see here. I wanted to talk a little bit about COVID as well, because COVID is still here. I know COVID hasn't been as big a headline in the news because of the weather we've been seeing recently, but it looks like our daily test cases have started to subside a bit. But you also have to understand the number of test cases, or the positive cases, has gone down because the number of test cases has gone down because of inclement weather. So today we had, let's see, 517 new cases of people that tested positive for COVID-19. So we're still over 500 cases. And that brings us to a total for Arkansas of 315,230 cases. So over 315,000 people here in Arkansas have already gotten COVID, which is more than 10% of our total population. We are currently under phase 1B still for vaccinations. So we're still, it should only be about another 10 days, I believe, until we get to phase 1C, where we can start more widely distributing the vaccine. So make sure, if you have the opportunity, don't pass it up, get the vaccine. I was really hesitant about it at first because I don't like putting things in my body, especially I'm 34 years old. I obviously have made it thus far, and I haven't gotten vaccines since I was a child. Um, but I've really thought about this, and for the safety of my family, my wife, my daughter, and the people around me, of course, I'm going to get the vaccine as well. And I suggest you all do if your religious viewpoints or whatever permit it. Oh, congratulations, Starla. That's awesome. I'm glad you were able to do that already. Yes, hon? Can I do what? All right, sorry about that. Getting Had to talk to my boss real quick, the big boss, the big boss. So make sure y'all are still wearing your mask when you go out. Wash your hands. Make sure you're doing all the three W's. Socially distance as well. We did have 12 new deaths today, which brings our total to 5,348 COVID deaths here in Arkansas. Um, we were able to already administer 505,000 doses of the vaccine, and that brings us to about 16.75% of our population being vaccinated. So we're still less than 17% of Arkansans have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. So just keep an eye out whenever it's safe to do so. It'll be all over the news when you can't do that. All right, let me see here. Okay, I've got comments coming in and different things. I'll read through your comments all in just a little bit. I really don't have a whole lot more to go through as far as information wise. So I'll be answering questions throughout this Q&A process. All right, let's see. Something new that did happen over the last week. Tim Griffin, Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin, did drop out of the governor race against Attorney General Leslie Rutledge and Sarah Sanders, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, if you want to be correct about it. He did drop out against those two. Sarah Sanders received President Trump's endorsement, former President Trump's endorsement, and currently we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We have Attorney General Leslie Rutledge running for governor. We have Jason Rappert still running unopposed at this point for lieutenant governor. So whoever you are, stand up and run for lieutenant governor. Don't let this insane, really extremist person run unopposed for lieutenant governor. Our state cannot handle something like that. I think Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin announced he's running for attorney general. We currently do not have any Democratic candidate who's announced that they're running for attorney general. We do not have any Democratic candidate who's announced that they're running for Secretary of State against our Secretary of State, John Thurston. We know so far every single Republican who has announced that they're running is complicit with the whole Trumpism, the whole GOP basically manipulating elections and things like that. So we have to make sure all of these GOP Republicans are not running unopposed and have a Democratic opponent. So if you are thinking about running for office, reach out to me. I'll do everything I can to help point you in the right direction. But we have to make sure we do have people running for office for these positions. Let's see here. We do have some Democrats who've announced that they are running for governor. We have James Russell, who is a progressive Democrat who is running for governor. Um, you can see, I think it's voteforruss.com. You can check out his website. And now Hayden Schammel has also announced that she will be running for governor for the Democratic seat as well. So we will have a Democratic primary for the governor seat. It's going to be a very important race because the way that these 2022 elections turn out for Arkansas is going to really determine the politics of Arkansas for the next decade or more. So we do need to make sure we're paying a lot of attention to the candidates. We're supporting them in any ways possible, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that the GOP does not retain control over our state and our lives. All right. Um, so that's all of that stuff. That I mean, kind of brings me to my case. So the last things that I'm really going to talk about are my court hearing for ballot access, which was for my 2020 campaign against Senator Tom Cotton, which I mean is kind of fitting for everything. The timeline, we'll go over that in just 1 minute. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about basically it's arcleg.state.ar.us. I will make sure I post that link in there. But our state legislators have a very interactive and a good website for everything that our Secretary of State's office is really bad at. And our local government, they're bad at a lot of things when it comes to constituent information and help. The Arkansas State Legislature website is amazing. So I'm going to go through that and show you a little bit about how you can use it and how you can look at current bills, because I know I keep talking about bills and what bills are and when they're going to be voted on and things like that. But I want you all to be able to do that yourself. That way you can see things when I'm busy and not able to explain them to you. All right. Teach a man to fish. So let's see here. Let me catch up on Facebook real quick. And thank you so much, Annie, for joining me tonight. And congratulations on surviving Snowmageddon. I'm sorry about the no sound, guys. Oh my gosh. I don't know why my boom mic is not working. I will check that out. Oh yeah. I was in a Zoom meeting earlier using OBS to cast over to there, so it could be stuck on Zoom with my audio, my boom mic. All right, the praying mantises ate my microphone. Oh man, yeah, they're actually getting really big. One of them just molted for the fourth time and is about this big now, so they're moving up in the world. Oh my gosh, I hope you can't hear the crickets. Unfortunately, let me see if I can turn on noise suppression through this microphone here real quickly. Filters. We'll do noise suppression, higher quality. All right, so I got noise suppression enabled. Hopefully y'all can't hear my crickets. I'm breeding crickets right now for my mantises. I'm breeding all sorts of fun things to keep those little mantises alive. Um, let's see here, and it is so awful what happened in Texas. I'm just really glad that we were able to come together as a nation, as a community, have people donating money from all across our country to help so many Texans out when they need it the most. Yeah, AOC in Arkansas, that would be amazing. It's so funny because people keep calling her a socialist and a communist in Texas right now, but I'm sure glad that she's there helping people out while Ted Cruz didn't think that that was necessary. We do need a lot of brave progressive candidates to rise up and start running for office. It's really not easy to run for office, especially as a progressive in Arkansas. You have to have thick skin. No one starts with thick skin. It gets thicker over time, of course. You figure things out, but it can be a challenge, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. So yeah, we just need people who are willing to put that time in there and to just put everything above themselves in their lives so that we can try to take our state back. And absolutely, price gouging for AmeriGas. I'm not sure what AmeriGas did, but I will check it out. I know we have very specific price gouging laws put in place in Arkansas to prevent companies from taking advantage of people during a disaster. So I will check that out. Yes, Conway did a great job. I saw pictures and they cleared their roads very well. When does the Democratic Party of Arkansas kick in on my campaign? Am I getting any endorsements? Um, I don't know if the Democratic Party of Arkansas, the DPA, is going to endorse my campaign or to help promote my campaign until after the primary. I know they reserve the right to refuse basically helping anybody until after the primary. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with the primary if they do decide to waste a candidate who could be running against someone like Jason Rappert against me instead. We'll see what happens with all that, and I'll let you all know as soon as I do. Oh man, I don't know who would be worse either, Sarah Sanders or Rutledge. It would be oh my gosh, I really don't know who would be worse. Sarah Sanders hasn't had the opportunity to show us how terrible she can really be. All we know is she's a professional liar who was willing to put her morals and ethics aside for a position that her daddy helped her get when he dropped out of the 2016 presidential race. Yeah, I will drop truth bombs. But Rutledge has already showed us how she can and will and has no problem hurting Arkansans from breaking the law, having no ethics or any what's the word I'm looking for? Any recourse for being unethical, to wasting taxpayer money to advertise for her own campaign. So it's really hard to tell who would be worse for Arkansas at this point. So, Mr. Jim, I see what you're talking about here. The Ozarks at Large story on Bozeman's claim that Biden wanting to return to the Clean Water Act. And if Bozeman is supporting the return to the Clean Water Act, I need to do some research and see if Bozeman voted to repeal a lot of these protections that were put into place by the EPA. If he was, voting to deregulate the EPA and now is coming back a couple of years later, like, oh, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. I was never, for uh, basically destroy the EPA. We need to see if he's flip flopping on that. I just need to do some research on it. It was a very recent article. How did I decide to run for national rather than state local government? Thank you. It's a good question, Juan, because I was looking at the country as a whole. We have so many problems facing our entire nation that a lot of those problems fall back to Arkansas, such as Medicare for all, federal decriminalization of cannabis, Green New Deal, lowering taxes for working class, and enforcing taxation on billionaires and corporations that currently avoid taxation altogether, while taking hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars in government subsidies. These are all problems that really affect us at the national level that I wouldn't be able to help at the state level. And by helping with these issues at the national level, I think that we can bring more help, in many really necessary areas such as education and healthcare to Arkansas that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Hey, Allison, thank you for joining me. Let's see here. I'll give you guys what's new here in just a little bit with my court hearing. Once I make it through the rest of these comments, and I see yours here too, Starla. Let's see here. Ooh, so Starla got her second dose of the vaccine, and it made her sore and felt like all over arthritis, but she's still hanging in there. Did the TNT show people get you some help finding people? I wish I knew more people in Arkansas to convince them to get into office. No, TNT's great. We had a really great interview, and I think I already posted it on my website. If I didn't, then I'll make sure I get my interview posted here soon. I get everything uploaded to YouTube automatically, so I will get that posted because it was a good interview. We had a great conversation. Let's see here. What's my stand on the 10K tuition forgiveness, and am I for it? What about maybe 2-year college and trade school certificates? So I think that $10,000 tuition forgiveness is not enough. I think $50,000 is not enough. I think that basically we need to eliminate student debt. It will cost about $1.7 trillion dollars, but realistically, the way that our fiat currency works and the way our government is funded, it won't cost anyone anything. All a few banks will have to do is click a couple buttons on a keyboard, and student debt has been eliminated. There will be no victims from it. No one will suffer from it. No inflation will occur from it. It will only go to help Americans. And I think banks should do this because when banks needed our help, we bailed them out to $16.8 trillion dollars. So they can definitely help bail us out. And I do believe in free, tuition free 2 year universities. I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly, how I feel about tuition free 4 year colleges, like bachelor's degrees and such like that. Um, but most definitely, I do believe in a free associate's degree, including a free vocational or trade school training. And if you do well with your associate's degree, like if you graduate magna cum laude, or if you have a 3.0 GPA, or you're actually just showing that you are taking your schooling seriously, you're not just using it as a free ride, then you should be able to continue to your bachelor's at no cost. That way, we can get more people educated to help better our society. I work in automation, so I see the dangers that automation is bringing and this technological era to our society. And already by 2035, we are expected to have a permanent 40% unemployment rate. And we saw what 40% unemployment rate looks like from March of last year up until May of last year. It was uncontrollable. There was just no way that people were going to be able to pay their bills, to buy food. A lot of people lost everything, and a lot of people lost their lives even because of it through depression and suicide. So this is going to be a normal thing, 40% just in the next 15 years. So we're going to have to make sure that in the next 15 years, we're prepared for this by making sure we have enough people that are educated to manage these automated jobs, to service automated equipment and things like that as well. And you can't just go and get those degrees for no cost. And then we have people who have gotten their degrees. We have, people who are maybe a generation or two older than me who have been working their lives and they're still paying off student debt. And a lot of the payments that they're making are just going towards interest. So eliminating student debt would be extremely beneficial to every single person in America. Let's see here. Would show a mandate to get rid of cotton in the near future. Oh man, that would be great. Let's see here. Okay, so national legalization. I'm all for legalization, Annie, but I believe that that should be at the state level. I support the federal decriminalization, and then the voters in each state having the opportunity to vote to have it either medicinal, um, illegal, or recreational. That should be up to the voters in each state, not the federal government. And by supporting federal decriminalization, that helps to allow businesses who operate out of states where it is legal, either medicinally or recreationally. It protects these businesses owned by American citizens from intrusive raids by like the DEA, from having their assets seized. It also allows these businesses to work with FDIC, federally insured banks. So it's very important that we get federal decriminalization passed as soon as possible. So that's a good question, Sharon. She said, "Do you think we could maybe get dental added to healthcare? Not veneers or cosmetic, but crowns, root canals, or fillings, etc. Good dental care is imperative to good overall health." So absolutely, Medicare for all actually is going to cover dental, medical, and vision. So and hearing as well. So we just have to make sure that we are taking care of our society and keeping people healthy. We want to have as healthy a society as possible because the healthier our society is, the higher our GDP will be, the more growth we'll have, and the faster we will move forward in our society. Let's see here. Do I believe that internet access should be a human right, universal utility, and easy to access at affordable prices for all? Especially with remote learning, everyone should have quality internet access. I do, Starla, 100%. Honestly, in the era that we live in today, the information era, where everybody can basically do their jobs, do their school, do their banking, do everything online. And especially with COVID right now, seeing how we have virtual learning, we have virtual working, we have all these different things online, everyone can see the importance of having internet access. So, number one, we need to restore net neutrality. That has to be done. And then on top of that, what we need to do is we need to make sure that every single person in America has internet access, and it needs to be affordable. We can't be having, say, I was a cable guy for 5 years, so I could show up to a job and say I'm on A Street, house number one. And on A Street, house number one, they have internet access, phone, and cable. And they were paying $200 a month. Well, on A Street, house number two, I could go to their house next to work on their stuff, and they could have TV, internet, or internet, phone, and cable, and they could only be paying maybe $60 a month because of a promotion. We have to make sure that we're not allowing these communication companies to take advantage of people who don't know what a reasonable price for internet is. We need to make sure that internet is reasonably priced. And if we can afford to subsidize companies like the fossil fuel industry, then we can afford to subsidize companies to make sure that every single person has access to high-speed internet. And I'm not talking about like AT&T Uverse where you can get like 10 or 15 or 20, maybe 30 megabytes per second, megabits per second if you're in a good location. I'm talking about having gigabit internet for all. We should all be at that point. And as soon as we get to that point in our society, we will just boom in technological growth. It's something we can do. We just have to do it. Oh my gosh, that is not right, Annie, at all. What is my stance on the new COVID relief package? Do I think it will actually pass? From what I read earlier, it sounds like it will be included in our tax returns. Okay, so number one, I was very, very disappointed when they're like, we're going to give $1,400 checks because we already gave $600 checks, and 600 plus 1,400 is 2,000. So when we promised $2,000 checks, that's what we meant. I think that's a bunch of BS. That's a bunch of PR nonsense. There need to be $2,000 checks to every single person in America today. We can't afford to wait. And like you said, for taxes, yes, a lot of them will just be okay. Well, you can add that as get it back on your taxes as an additional deduction or something like that. My wife is the tax expert, not myself. But that's just not enough. I mean, a lot of people still haven't even seen the $600 check in the first place, and now they're waiting for a $600 check. They're waiting for a $1,400. That's ridiculous. That's ludicrous. People need it now. This is a pandemic, not only a national emergency and a national pandemic, but a worldwide pandemic. And we have to start taking care of people and make sure that they have enough money to pay their food, pay for food, their utilities, their mortgage, their car payments, all these different added expenses from having to work from home or have their child doing education from home and things like that. We have to make sure we have relief checks. Personally, I support a $2,000 reoccurring monthly stimulus check. That's what we should be doing as one of the wealthiest nations in the history of the world. Where Canada has given their citizens an average of $66 per day since the pandemic started, the United States of America has given their citizens an average of about $6 per day since the pandemic has started. So we really need to start taking care of ourselves better. And the only way we're going to get this done is if we do keep the Democratic majority in the Senate, which is why races like mine are going to be so important. I thought it already was passed and the Senate was moving on to Biden. But with the Democratic majority, there's no reason that it should not pass the Senate if it has not already. Let's see here. I have some questions coming in on Twitch, so let me read through these real quick. Have a very serious question for you. Many leaders and politicians are comparing the world events of today to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. They say things like climate change and the migrant crisis are comparable to what occurred in the Second World War. If you're elected or running for office, are you willing to make a statement on this matter and publicly denounce people who have made these claims? If you disagree with them and what is my stance on this issue. There's no timestamp on Twitch. I hope I just have my Twitch window smaller because it's actually very rare that someone asks me a question on there. So I think that actually that is an important issue because number one, we don't want to desensitize ourselves to the Holocaust and the genocide and just the terrible crimes against humanity that happened at the Holocaust. These migrant caravans are nothing like the Holocaust. Having these climate problems and everything going on is nothing like the Holocaust. These are like comparing a car to an apple, two very, very completely different things. So, of course, I would denounce people saying anything like that. We do need to make sure we have the actual true Holocaust education, programs in our schools, such as, of course, Schindler's List is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you probably should watch it to kind of better understand what it was like in Nazi Germany camps back during World War II. And of course, Band of Brothers and other movies like that. But no, I don't think it's anything like the Holocaust. I feel like being a ruby red state is so hard for us progressives here. Farron and Ring of Fire on YouTube was saying that in part it is a voters' fault in Texas for the power grid failure and not voting in better people. And it made me feel like crap being a blue voter in a red state. We don't have a lot of help from the Democratic Party here. I feel like they write us off as a lost cause. We don't have a lot of options, and a lot of our Republicans run unopposed. I feel your whole statement, Allison. I really feel the same way. Like we are, and not even necessarily blue voters in red states, but I feel like we are Arkansans or Americans in a state where, in majority, a lot of the people that are representing us don't actually care about people. They don't care about Americans. They don't care about Arkansans. A lot of these people only care about one thing, and that one thing they care about is money. And we have to start putting people before profits. And the way that we're going to finally begin putting people before profits is when enough people, both red and blue and green and white and purple and whatever, any political affiliation, as soon as people start voting in representatives and people that affect how our lives are going to be, start voting in the right people. Vote people in for the right reason. You shouldn't ever vote for someone just because you're a Democrat and they're a Democrat. You should never, ever do that. You should never vote for someone because they're a Republican and you're a Republican. That is just stupid voting. And if you do that, I'm sorry, but you're stupid. You have to look at the candidates for who they are, what they represent, and until we start to do that, we're not going to see any change. We need to make sure that the people representing us are representing our best interests and not how to get another paycheck from their donors. And by when I say from their donors, I mean from like corporate donors. And sorry if I called you stupid. Just make sure you start researching next time. I was stupid once upon a time too and ignorant. Two really great ways to make yourself less ignorant before you vote. If you're voting for an incumbent, say, go to votesmart.org and type in that person's name, and you can see how they voted on every single piece of legislation since the beginning of their career. If you want to see how where their money's coming from and how it's going, go to opensecrets.org, type in that person's name, and see where their money's coming from. I don't vote for someone because of the party they're in. I vote for someone because of how they vote and where their money's coming from and where their money's going. Those are what's important to me as an American citizen, as a voter. Um, do I work on open source software projects? I do not. I would be open to it. I'm always open to learn something new. I just have not. I've heard all the checks and such have been sent out. So if you haven't gotten one, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, my family, we never received a $600 or a $1,400 check. And I mean, it is kind of crappy to blame the voters, of course, because we don't have much help from the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party is really fractured here in Arkansas. We don't have, I don't want to be rude to anyone in Democratic leadership, of course, but we don't have, our Democratic leadership just isn't organized. They're not networking properly. They're not helping candidates the right way. They are just kind of sitting back and collecting their own paychecks. When something uh, pops on social media, of course, or when something comes on the news, they can pop on social media and make a tweet real fast, or hold a 10-minute news conference once a month on a current event. What we really need is we need candidate outreach. We need candidate scouting. We need to make sure we have candidate support, things like that from the Democratic Party of Arkansas. That way we can start to get candidates elected here in our state. Which is why I am running as a Democrat, so I can try to help and do everything I can to make sure that that does start to happen in the future. Because it's not a person's fault; it's the fault of the leadership. I saw an article that said one of the American super billionaires could give every American citizen 10K and not even notice their balance sheet. It is so lopsided. I've read something as well, like if the billionaires gave every single American citizen, I think like $30,000, they would still have more money than they had before the pandemic even began. We are a poor state. And I mean, the reason that we are a red state is because we're poor. We have an education problem. We're one of the lowest ranked educated states in the entire country. And I think a lot of a lack of education, a lack of political support, our representatives, we do have some great representatives now. Of course, like Greg Leding, he does his coffee hour. We do have representatives that are going out and they're telling their constituents about legislation. They're really trying to help people understand what's going on in our state. But we don't have enough of that. When people are ignorant about what's happening in their state, then we can't expect them to say like this is wrong and take a stand against it. So, thank you guys so much, all of y'all legislators who are doing everything you can to educate your constituents. We just need more of that. And it does matter who they're going to caucus with. You know, since I'm not in the Senate, of course, I'll never know what it's like to caucus until I'm actually there doing it the same as anybody else. And I would love to say I want to caucus with Democrats, I want to caucus with Republicans and work back and forth across the aisle. But just from what I've been told from people who also have never been in the Senate, that's not how it works. You have to pick a party to caucus with, and the other party won't listen to you anymore. So it's really tough. And I want to, of course, I will most likely caucus with the Democrats because Democrats and my platform aligned very closely. And at the same time, I want to still be able to talk to Republicans and relay concerns back and forth across the aisle. Can I summarize my platform for Arkansans and Americans? All right. So my platform basically is a platform of direct democracy, of putting the people first, of ending corruption in government. Um, it's just we've come to the point where our government isn't what it was supposed to be. I know a lot of people will be like, well, America was never a democracy. Well, you're right. It's not a democracy. We live in a representative republic, a democratic representative republic. But unfortunately, our representatives who are supposed to be representing our best interests no longer represent us. They represent the giant donors who put unlimited amounts of money into their campaign funds. And because of that, we're no longer a representative republic because we don't have representation. We are an oligarchy. We are a country where a few extremely ultra wealthy people and corporations purchased our government and own our government, and our government works in favor of them, not us. That's why if you look at federal minimum wage, it hasn't changed in decades. It's just stays stagnant while the richest 1% of Americans, their wealth just skyrockets. The wealth gain and wealth inequality are just disgusting here in America. And I think that we can start to fix that only by getting rid of our politicians who have taken money from these special interests, who are bought and paid for by these special interests. And that's basically my platform in a nutshell is I will not sell my soul to a special interest. I will work for Arkansans, for my constituents. I'm not doing this for power, for money. I'm doing this because I have an 8-year-old daughter. She just turned 8 yesterday 2 days ago. And I want her to be proud of the America that she's growing up in, like I was proud of the America I was growing up in when I was a kid. And I feel like the only way I can do that is by running for office to actually get something done. And I can, everyone be like, well, that's just an empty promise. You eventually everyone's going to take money from a special interest. Well, the difference between me and everybody else is I'm not running for reelection. I will serve my 6-year term. And if I am doing my job well, then my name will be on the ballot in the upcoming year in 2028. And if my name's on the ballot and you think I'm doing a good job, vote for me. If not, then don't. And the person who you think will do a better job will replace me. And by doing an election like that, I don't have to worry about advertising because that's where 90% of campaign funds go is advertising. I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to tell you how great of a job I'm doing. If I'm doing a great job, you'll know I am. So I won't sell out. I'm not going to be chasing donations or anything like that. I will be spending my 6 years full working for you and doing nothing else. And as part of the direct democracy that I mentioned, I will be submitting 12 bills per year that are created by Arkansans. That way, Arkansans have a direct voice in the legislative process. I love that, Monet. This is the year of the educated voter. Absolutely. Let's do everything we can to educate as many voters as we possibly can. We do. We need Stacey Abrams to come out here and help. And it's everything that's going on is so important. I think that if we can get the right people to reach out to her, we might be able to do something like that and to build a grassroots, a boots on the ground movement to educate voters, to get candidates to run and to flip Arkansas blue in 2022. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the Republican GOP legislators here in Arkansas are trying to push bills through to lower the educational quality of our children, unfortunately. What international issues would you most like to engage with? Honestly, I want to end American imperialism. I want to stop invading foreign nations to steal their natural resources. But I think it's also extremely important that we focus on um, getting foreign money out of our politics because a lot of foreign nations put money into super PACs to donate to candidates to help candidates get elected or stay elected, and then those candidates vote on legislation that gives those countries millions and billions of dollars in relief. So I would like to really get outside foreign influence out of our elections. How do I make my chair invisible? um, I got an extra green screen cloth, um, and it's got a green cloth on it, which it looks like I need to adjust just a little bit. I had moved my green screen away from this wall for pictures for my daughter's birthday on a wall with her stuff. Sorry. I'll get that taken care of. Yeah, the recent abortion bill is it's a disgrace. It goes against Roe v. Wade. It's unconstitutional. I have no idea how anything like that could ever possibly pass in 2021, except that the people who voted to pass it was completely partisan, and it was the GOP 100%. And what's really terrible about it is I guarantee you every single person who voted for that anti-abortion bill takes money from anti-abortion special interest groups. Um, I'm not sure if Bozeman supports that, but I know he is pro-life, so it wouldn't surprise me. Do I support DC statehood? I believe the citizens of DC already had local elections and voted for statehood. They're just being denied their statehood by the federal government because at the time when it was brought up, oh no. Okay, there we go. At the time when DC statehood was brought up, we had senators, United States senators, who decided to put their own personal interests ahead of the people of DC, and they denied that request because they don't want a more liberal area like Washington, D.C., to have another senator and to take away the majority and their power. So, for a giant power play is the reason that DC isn't already a state. And because the people of DC voted for statehood, absolutely. They deserve taxation with representation just like every other American citizen. Walmart doesn't want to increase the wages to 15 an hour, but rather 13 and have yearly incentive raises. Your thoughts? Because longtime employees will be offered. They make these same as newbies, rightly so. I don't agree with any kind of incentives or bonuses or anything like that because the problem with those is they're not guaranteed. So you can get a job where you're making, okay, say, we're going to pay you $13 an hour and then offer you a bonus of, say, $100 a quarter if you meet this, this, and this, and this. Well, you never know what's going to happen. So I don't think that it should be done that way. I think you should have a flat salary. I think the minimum wage should be at least $15 an hour across the entire nation right now, because even here in Arkansas, one of the poorest states in America, $15 an hour just isn't enough to live. I know I only make like $15 an hour, 15.75. I just got my 3% raise for hitting my 3-year anniversary, or not 15%, my 3% raise for hitting my 3-year anniversary. And I know what it's like to be making $15 an hour, and it's just not enough to survive. It's not enough money for a single parent with 2 children to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, and that is what my standard for a livable minimum wage would be. Do I support statehood for Puerto Rico? I think that the people of Puerto Rico should be able to vote on it, and if they vote for statehood, then they should be able to be granted statehood as well, because they pay taxes, and taxation without representation is extremely it's an important issue. All right, I'm all caught up there. Oh, and thank you, Starla. I'll tell her once she comes back down, or once my live stream's over. All right. Cool. So I'm through all the questions. Oh my gosh, it's already 6:51. I haven't even gotten to the best stuff. Um, all right. So I haven't even gotten to the best part yet, and I've lost so many viewers. Uh, but hopefully, what I'll do is I'll try to clip this part here for anybody to take a look at a later time. But so let's go over my court hearing for ballot access. How do I feel about the U.S. relationship with Israel? Israel injects billions of dollars into the American political system, and in exchange, they get tens of billions of dollars in military aid. So I am not really happy with the relationship of the corrupt Israeli government with our own corrupt government. Now, of course, I support the Israeli people, and I really want to see the genocide of the Palestinian people end. Um, but it's really tough to say what's going to happen until we get money out of politics. All right. So this is my court docket. This is my docket number. I've never made any of this secret throughout my entire campaign, um, from the first time we had our court date all the way through until today. I try to make everything as public as possible with my ballot access case. All right. So this is the full docket. We're going to go through this pretty quickly because I don't want to take too much of your time. It was first, let's see, docketed on 6/29, which is going to be June 29, 2020, which was just a few days after we received our first hearing from our trial judge, who was Christine G. Baker, who determined, Judge Baker decided that, all right, so man, how can I do a really quick catch up? I ran as an independent for United States Senate in 2020 against Senator Tom Cotton. And as an independent, I needed 10,000 verified signatures in a fixed 90-day window. That fixed 90-day window was from February 1st until May the 1st. And unfortunately, on March 13th, the Governor Asa Hutchinson issued orders of the state to declare a state of emergency, which severely burdened our ability to collect signatures in a physical way. They refused to alleviate these burdens by giving us an extension to the deadline, by reducing the amount of signatures, or even by allowing us to collect digital petitions. So what I did was I sued the Secretary of State, John Thurston, for um, ballot access, since they refused to help us in any way. Now, my lawsuit first went into the district court, and Judge Baker was our federal judge who oversaw our case. Um, let's see here. Judge Baker ended up ruling after our court hearing that although COVID-19 significantly impacted our ability to collect signatures, it did not create a severe burden. So it was a significant burden, but not a severe one. So she ruled against us and did not give us ballot access right there. So what we did was we appealed her decision, hoping that someone who was more reasonable would see, oh, well, we closed businesses, we closed schools, people were hoarding food, you couldn't find toilet paper on the shelves. It was a severe burn. It severely impacted every single aspect of everybody's lives. So we appealed it to the Eighth Circuit courts. Now, let's see here. Originally, I had Gary Foltz. He was my co-plaintiff. He was another independent who had problems getting signatures. And this is my full docket. So I think it was like June 26th or something like that when she gave the ruling against us. So we filed our appeal on June 29th, a few days later, because she gave it before the weekend. So we filed it on Monday. Let's see here. Notice of appeal, docket entries, briefings scheduled. So it says appendix due on August 10th, brief of appellant by August 10th. So these are just appearance, corporate disclosures, a certificate, a transcript. Had to pay for a transcript. And then I even made this transcript available on my website for everybody to read. Let's see here, the appendix preparation, designation statement. Okay, so what we did was, all right, I filed I mean, this is all just blah, just stuff you have to do when you're filing an appeal. Now, on July 8th, this was our motion for an expedited appeal. This is when we first filed our expedited appeal, July 8th, which was about 7.5 months ago. Now, on 12 days later, the Attorney General's office, when we filed our expedite, they had 14 days to reply. We filed our expedite on July 8th. On July 9th, the United States Attorney General William Barr flew to Arkansas and met with Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, the defense for the gentleman I'm suing, John Thurston, and also met with my opponent, Senator Tom Cotton. That was on the 9th. So then they waited until July 20th to file a motion for opposition to our motion for expedited appeal. So they filed opposition 12 days later, 2 days before the deadline. This was filed by attorney Nicholas Jacob Brony on behalf of John Thurston. Yeah, he was very rude during our first trial to um, one of the female witnesses. He's a very rude person. Um, so they waited 12 days. They filed their opposition to our motion for expedite. All right. So we filed our appellant brief that same day. We actually filed our brief, and our brief wasn't due until um, August 10th, but we filed it by July 20th, 20 days early. That way we could set the deadline to get the Attorney General's office to have to file theirs as well. All right, so we filed that. The brief deficiency notice into counsel, and then my lawyer re-amended the brief and filed it again that next day. And my brief was submitted in review, brief filed, and they approved the brief on the 22nd. All right. So now on August 23rd, this was going to be 3 days after Attorney General Leslie Rutledge and Nicholas J. Brony. Is it J. Brony? Jabroni? No, it's not. It's not Jabroni. Where'd it go? Linger. That was the opposition. Yeah, it is Nicholas Jabroni. Jabroni. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. I got distracted. I think that's hilarious. All right. So, 3 days after they filed an opposition to our expedite, which is interesting because they didn't have to file an opposition to our expedite. At any point, the judge could have approved our expedite. They could have approved it on July 9th, on July 10th, at any point. But they waited for the Attorney General to file their opposition on the 20th, and then 3 days after that, they approved the appellant's. Okay, yeah, they basically it says the appellant's motion for an expedited appeal for injunction pending appeal is denied. They denied our expedite on the 23rd. Um, You know what? I'm going to pay for this to open it. Costs 10 cents, but I'll open it. Let's see here. All right. Accept charges. Okay, so this is right here. This is the document of them opposing our expedite. All right, United States Court of Appeals, Dan Whitfield, appellant. Gary Foltz, he was not an appellant, so that's why his name's below appellant. John Thurston is the appellee. Appeal from the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Arkansas. Order. Appellant's motion to expedite and for injunction pending approval is denied. Order entered at the direction of the court by Clerk, U.S. Court of Appeals, 8th Circuit, Michael E. Gaines. Now, what's interesting is this wasn't Gaines' order. I called his office, and when I asked who gave the order, I was told that it was from an unknown administrative panel. So they wouldn't tell us who approved the opposition to our expedite, which threw up red flags right there. That was very interesting. After the United States Attorney General William Barr came and met with the counsel for the defendant and my opponent, they denied our expedite to make sure that it would not happen before the election. All right, moving on. So after they denied our expedite, let's see, paper copies of appellants received. We renewed a motion the next week, 5 days later, because my attorney really didn't want to. I forced him to do it. He filed a renewed motion for an expedited appeal because in the motion to oppose our expedite, Jabroni, he actually made a mistake. He used infactual facts, and my lawyer corrected his mistakes with our renewed motion for an expedited appeal. Let's see. And then Nicholas Jabroni opposed the next day our motion for expedited appeal, and one day after that, the appellant's renewed motion for expedited appeal is denied. I'll open this one and let's see what they said. 10 cents. All right, says appellant's renewed motion for expedited appeal is denied. Ordered by Michael E. Gaines. That's the only explanation. No explanation. All right, so then we had a gap on kind of everything that was going on. Let's see here, going through. Then on 8/21, the appellee brief of John Thurston. So we filed our brief on July 20th, and it was approved by July 22nd. So we filed our brief here, July 22nd. On the deadline, the very last day that they had to file their brief, they filed their brief. This is when the Attorney General's office said, oh, we were so busy, blah, 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 while Attorney General Leslie Rutledge was going from event to event to event campaigning, using our time where we're paying her to go out and campaign. All right, so they filed theirs on a Friday at 7:44 p.m. after hours on the deadline, which means that, and then they had a deficiency in it, and then it looks like their brief was approved on 8/24. So a month and a couple days after we filed our brief. They were delaying and pushing it out as far as they could. All right. So let's see here. Then the Attorney General filed a citation 28J, basically stating that, well, another state said it was unconstitutional to grant any relief to candidates. What they failed to say was the state had already granted relief to those candidates by reducing the amount of signatures from 300,000 down to 30,000, which was 10%, which if they reduced ours from 10,000 down to 10,000 for 10%, then we would have had 6,000. We would have had 6 times what was needed. But unfortunately, we don't have the brightest Attorney General's office. Let's see here. Response. This was our response to them. And all of these documents, by the way, I've already paid for them all. I've downloaded them all, and I have put them all up for download on my website. I did hide the tab, but I guess I didn't want to confuse anyone what was going on. Think like, oh, you're in a court hearing again. No, this is for 2020. So I might make it visible for a couple days if y'all want to check it out. All right. Anyways, moving on. We're almost there. We're about to the bottom. So this was our response. And then after our response, we were set on September 1st. We were approved our case has been screened for oral arguments. The exact date has not been determined. You will be receiving a calendar approximately 4 weeks before the scheduled argument date. Please review the current and future argument dates immediately to determine if you have conflicts. So we were approved for oral arguments on September 1st, 2020, which was 2 months before the election. All right, important stuff. Then that's just conflicts, brief, blah, 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 blah. None of that was really important. Um, Letter regarding availability. All right. So, and that's where we were sitting since September 15th. I mean, we were just sitting there waiting for something. And so now it's been 3, 4, 5 months, 5.5 months after the election. Uh, no, 3.5 months after the election. But we've been sitting for 5 months, and if you can see right here already, our case has finally been set for oral argument. So we will have our day in court. They decided not to throw our case out as moot, which is awesome. We will have our day in court. Thank goodness. It's going to be video conference on Thursday, March 18th, 2021. Now, the case will be heard before judges Raymond Grudner, Dwayne Benton, and L. Stephen Gross in Division 1. The courtroom deputy will be Melissa Rudolph. All attorneys present will have to fill out this form, which my attorney already filled out the form. So I haven't even talked to my attorney in months. He actually, I'm surprised. He got this notification. He, let's see, he got the notification and then he filled out the form yesterday, but he never called me or let me know. I just happened to look this morning when I was having a conversation in a meeting and saw that this is here. So, all right, that's awesome. We're going to have our day in court. And if anything, hey, what if for some reason they granted us a special election? That would be amazing because they conspired against us to keep us off the ballot. I think there is a very, very small chance, very, 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 very small chance. But what if they granted us a special election and we beat Senator Tom Cotton, Mr. I'm stolen valor, Mr. Slavery was a necessary evil, this terrible man? What if we had that opportunity? That would be amazing. What's more likely to happen, I'm hoping, is to set precedent for future candidates because we have a ballot access issue problem here in Arkansas. There's no reason that an independent candidate for the United States president has an unlimited collection period to collect 1,000 verified signatures, while an independent candidate for the United States Senate in Arkansas has a fixed 90-day window to collect 10,000 verified signatures, while other third parties like the Libertarian Party and the Green Party have an open 90-day window and can collect their 10,000 signatures at any point they seem fit. So I'm really hoping to set some precedent to make it easier for independents to run in the future. It won't benefit me specifically, but hopefully it can benefit us as a whole. I did want to go over real quick the 3 judges that were assigned to my case. It is a little worrisome, but let's go over the first one here. So the first judge is going to be Raymond Grudner. So, hello, this is Raymond Grudner. Wikipedia, I know not the best source of information, but it is fairly accurate for the most part. So we can see right here, he assumed office in 2004. He was appointed by George W. Bush to the Eighth Circuit courts. Now, some things that are interesting to look at was Grudner has been consistently mentioned as a possible nominee for the Supreme Court in a Republican administration. On May 18, 2016, then Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump announced that Grudner was on his list of potential Supreme Court nominees. So he was appointed by Bush and Donald Trump wanted him on the Supreme Court. So he's probably a pretty conservative Republican guy, I would assume, um, with that information. So the next one, we've got Dwayne Benton, Mr. William Dwayne Benton here. Um, let's see, he's a United States Circuit Court judge for the Eighth Circuit. Let's see, graduated in 72. So let's see, prior to joining the federal, oh, and real quick, he assumed office in July 2004 from George W. Bush. So George Bush was the person who placed him on the Eighth Circuit Court. Let's see here. There was something on one of these guys. In 2018, he found that Missouri's requirement of a state license to braid hair did not violate the Constitution. All right. Um, so he went to Harvard, University of Virginia, Yale. Awesome. So he's a pretty distinguished gentleman. Hopefully, he will be impartial and won't just side with the Republicans and the GOP um, for party reasons. Awesome. So hopefully, he's a good Republican for us. All right, moving on. Last judge is going to be Stephen Gross. All right, this is Mr. Stephen Gross. He assumed office in 2018. He was appointed by Donald Trump. Um, let's see here. Graduate from Nebraska College of Law. Received his degree cum laude. Hey, I got my associate's cum laude. We'll see if I can finish my bachelor's cum laude as well. So he began as an assistant for a Republican. Yeah. So he is pretty conservative if you read through some of this. But basically, we've got some pretty conservative judges. All three of our judges are Republicans, and they're all fairly conservative. So I'm not expecting too much from the hearing. We'll see what happens. Always hope for the best, expect the worst. The best would be a special election where we can actually have an opportunity to replace Senator Tom Cotton still and not give him 6 years unfettered to continue doing the things he's been doing. Worst case scenario, they throw it out. I figure if they were going to throw it out as moot, they wouldn't have even put it on the calendar. They would have just dismissed it. So that's good. And in the middle would be if they allowed us to set precedent for other independent candidates in the future to ease ballot access restrictions. All right. So, um, you know, thank you for listening to all of that. I know that's a lot. Um, But that's all we have to go through for my court hearing. That's where we're at right now. We are set for Thursday, March 18th is going to be our day in court. So I will make sure I keep you all informed on what's going on and keep you guys up to date, and we will go from there. But that does not affect my candidacy or my current campaign against Senator John Bozeman at all. All right, moving right along. All right. So I've kind of gone over everything. I see y'all are just commenting away in these different chat groups. So let me read through some of these real quick. Oh, not stolen valor. He is Army Ranger qualified. Where the stolen valor comes into place was he was claiming to have served in Afghanistan as an Army Ranger, but he was not. He may have went to the 2 month, or is it 2 week or 2 month Ranger school, but he did not serve as an Army Ranger in the Afghanistan war. Well, thank you, honey. All right. So I do want to kind of go over this website here. Let me actually, I kind of cropped my page. Let me remove this crop real quick. That way I can show you the web address. All right. So this is our website right here for our state legislator. It's www.arcleg.state.ar.us. And this is an extremely helpful website to use. If you've never looked at this, check it out and play around. You can spend hours in it really easily. So the first thing you'll notice here is you can actually search for specific bills, and you can actually search for specific acts right from here. Now, it also has this week's meetings, the upcoming meetings on here. So for Monday, February 22nd, it has the entire agenda here. Now you can click the agenda, and it will load you into the actual agenda for what is going on. The sponsor, um, so Evans to amend the law concerning unused sick leave. Evans to amend the law concerning member contribution service credit, correction of errors, and termination of membership under the Arkansas Teacher Retirement System, and to declare an emergency. So there's all these different things. It has everybody who's in the committee here. These are very useful tools. Now, this is for upcoming. So, like, you could do the Educational Committee Senate. Well, let's see. Are they going to talk about SB 1234? Nope, it looks like they're not. That's good. What about SB 287? To amend the scholarship requirements to allow certain individuals to be eligible for certain scholarships and to declare an emergency. Um, and then you can actually even click right here, and it takes you into the actual bill. So, very, very, very useful tool. Um, very useful tool. Now, this is this week's meetings. You can actually go, let me see here. I don't want to do this month. I want to do calendars. You can, of course, click the directory, and this will bring you to, um, let's see, Department of Education. It'll tell you, all the different people on here. It's really, really useful. So if I go back, where, it's not here. There should be a way to try this month. Here we go. So I'm going to actually change the calendar date. You can search specific dates, which is really cool. And I'm going to go back to when they were in session here. All right, so watch this. This is awesome. So on February 1st, Revenue and Tax Senate. You can actually click video, and you can watch the entire thing. Amazing. Wow, this is what I want in the United States Congress and Senate. This is really, really good stuff. So you can check all of these different videos out if there's anything that um, looks if there's something very dear and important to you, like anti-abortion laws or stand your ground laws or anything like that. Make sure you check it out. It's just amazing. I mean, and you just click the video and just straight into it. I don't know if y'all can hear the volume when it's going, probably not because filters, but they do have sound as well. So let's go back to the main page here. Oh, I got rid of it. Let's see here. AR leg here. Okay. So there's just all these different things you can do. Make sure you come in here and check it out. You can see, a list of all your legislators. You can see what district they're in, so you can organize it by district. Oh, the up arrow on there. And if you know what district you're in, you can find who your representative is very easily there. Um, I mean, it's just so amazing. Let's see here. So Underwood, Whitaker. Look, Denise Garner. She's awesome. You can click on Denise Garner. It has her phone number. It has her email. Um, it has all of the bills. You can like search it, regular session 19, fiscal session, and regular session 21. You can search the bills that she's been sponsoring. It's just amazing. Oh my gosh. And then if we go back home, there should be, is it Arkansas law? I'm looking for conflicts. Let's just hit the search button here. We'll do HB 12 1, 2, 3, 4. Search here. So you can come in here. It gives you whatever the bill is, all the information on it, the PDF of the bill. Just make sure you come in here and check this out. You got to be an informed voter. You have to understand how the people that you're voting for are voting in response, again, to how they're getting money. See, so here you could go open secrets. Then I can go into open secrets here and I can actually search, like, let's see, Dan Whitfield. And then I could do Arkansas Senate 2020 race. And you can see right here, this was the 2020 cycle. Tom Cotton was the winner. He raised $12,800,000. He spent $6,600,000. He has $6 million on hand. Ricky Harrington raised $96,000, spent $64,000, and has $32,000 on hand. Uh-oh, Ricky. Ricky's actually kind of in trouble right now. It looks like he is late on his FEC filing. He should have filed one on 12/31 updating especially where all this cash on hand money is and where it's being spent. And it says I raised 68,536 and I spent 48 and have 20,000 cash on hand. And then you can actually hit see candidates and see all candidates in this race. And now from here, you can see where his money came from. So here you can see Tom Cotton, incumbent, actually raised 30% of his contributions were from small individual contributions of less than 200, so 3.8 million. 33% were from large contributions, which would be greater than $200. He took 13%, 1.7 million from PAC contributions, and he took $2.8 million from other. I'm not really sure what other is, but other doesn't really sound good to me. All right. 94% of his is full disclosure. That means the majority of his donations were more than $50, which means you have to disclose them. If someone only donates less than $50, then it won't show up as a disclosure. It'll show up as a no disclosure. So he raised $239,000 from people in less than $50. And that means if a person donated multiple times, every single time they donated is added together. And if it reaches $50, then it needs full disclosure. So these are small one-time donations here. All right. Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. Small individual contributions less than $200. 42%, 40,000. Large individual contributions greater than $200. 56%, which was 54,000. PAC contributions, $100, and other says 750. So the majority of Ricky Harrington's money came from large individual contributions, and the majority of Cotton's was a mixture, I guess, kind of pretty close between large, small, and then this other whatever is there. All right, Daniel Whitfield. I raised 54,000 in small contributions, which was 79.3% of my contributions. Large individual contributions, 14,700, which was I didn't have any donations above 1,000, so these were between $200 and $1,000, so 21.5%. Large contributions, and then other is negative 589. That's because I had some person donate $500 and they put it as anonymous, so I had to refund it as soon as I realized it was there. So that's what the refund was, and then there were a couple people who had complained on Twitter about donating. So I refunded a couple people there. Let's see here. And that's me. If you're not happy with your donation, just let me know and I'll refund you. Of course. I think that's the way it should be. It shouldn't just be lost money. If you don't believe in someone, they shouldn't have your money. All right. Um, so quality of disclosure, let's see, full disclosure 42%, and no disclosure 57%. So a lot of the people who donated to my campaign were unemployed and donated small increments because we were in the middle of a pandemic. Thank you all so much again for keeping us going. Um, and then there was Josh Mahoney. I wonder why he does just pop his name in there. Josh Mahoney raised $363,843. He was the Democratic candidate that dropped out on filing the last day of filing day, and he spent $363,000. Debits $30,000. Individual contributions 227. So that means 227,000 people donated money to Josh Mahoney's campaign and never got their money back, even though he dropped out and never ran. So I think personally, I think the DPA should have refunded that $227,000 to all the people who donated to his campaign. He had $137 candidate self-financing. Wow, I wish I could afford $137,000 just to go into a campaign. But that's why they say politics is a rich man's game. Um, but all right. Oh, it looks like he actually refunded 1,900 of that 227,000. All right. So that's Open Secrets in a nutshell. I guess actually, I mean, you can be like, what? What is this? I can click on Tom Cotton's name, and then it pulls up this. Top industries, retired, mostly retired people donated to him. So uh, older people, older, probably poor Arkansans who just did it because he has an R in front of his name. And you can do different things in here. I mean, I definitely suggest, I'm not going to spend hours showing you all this, but make sure you check it out. This is really, really cool. You can click industries. Actually, let's click packs. So we can go into packs and see where he took money from. Lawyers and lobbyists, agribusiness, finance, insurance, and real estate. Ideological, single issue, $370,000. Republican conservative, 37. Leadership PACs, 313. Pro-Israel, 6,500. Gun rights, 9,500. Let's see what this leadership PACs is. So the leadership PAC, I have no idea what the leadership PAC is. Oh man. But it looks like it took a ton of money from smaller PACs. This is what we talk about with campaign finance reform and getting super PACs out, because the problem with super PACs is, look, they just reclaim America. They create a PAC and donate to a super PAC. Promoting our Republican team, create a PAC, donate to a super PAC. Create a PAC, donate to a super PAC. Create a PAC, donate to a super PAC. Because the PAC can only donate $2,800, but a super PAC can donate unlimited amounts of money. So they create all these PACs and then donate all these PACs to a super PAC, and then have the super PAC donate, say, $313,000 to a single candidate. It is crazy how this works, y'all. I mean, this is dark money right here, is what it is. And anyone can create these PACs. I can create a PAC, and I can create a PAC with, and nobody will even know who I am. It's just insane. Oh my gosh. But I mean, that's why uh, it's just why it's so important that we get money out of politics. All right, so the next one I'll go over real quick. Votesmart.org. So now you can go to votesmart.org, type in, we'll do John Boozman, search, here we go, John Boozman, U.S. Senate, AR incumbent. So now that we've selected him, we can go to votes. No, thank you. All right, so from here, you can actually search specific issues. Like someone had asked about abortion. All right, so I selected a specific issue, abortion, and now let's see, February 25th, 2020, Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. Yes. Pain Capable Unborn Children Act. Yes. Co-sponsor, co-sponsor. Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. No. Voted against the Affordable Care Act. The 2009 budget bill. No. Appropriations for the Department of Labor, Health, Human Services. No. Abortion pain bill. Yes. Child interstate abortion notification. Yes. Overseas military facilities abortion amendment. No. So yeah, the answer to your question is he is pro-life and he supports all the anti-abortion legislation that is currently going on here in Arkansas. Um, let's see. Oil and gas. We know he takes money from the oil and gas industry. A bill to approve the Keystone Pipeline. Yes. A bill to approve Keystone Pipeline. Yes. A bill to approve the Keystone Pipeline. Co-sponsor. Keystone Pipeline. Transportation Empowerment Act. Keystone Pipeline. Repeals the prohibition on biofuel refinery construction. Amends energy-related tax credits. This would have allowed people to get solar and get tax credits, and so on. So, I mean, I can go through this for hours, especially with John Boozman and Tom Cotton, because they are my two representatives already done it. But make sure you check out votesmart.org. You can even click funding on here, and through the funding, it goes through. Let's see. Okay, it's still loading. All right. So you can see right here, if you hit funding, I just got here. So for the 2016 cycle, he raised almost $5 million. You can see right here, top contributors, Walmart, Stevens, U.S. Senate, Tyson, Norpac, Nextra Energy, Murphy Oil, Blessing Marine Service, and then Dental, Cooper Communities. You can see top industries, health professionals, leadership packs, security and investment, retired, commercial banks, real estate, oil and gas, insurance, some crop production and basic processing, um, finance, insurance, agribusiness, ideology, single issue, health industry. You can see where his money's coming from. And you know what I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing a union. I'm not seeing anything from working class people. The problem with a lot of these guys is they don't work for us, guys. They really don't. And if you don't believe me, click on funding, then click on votes and compare. It's pretty easy stuff to see. You just have to look for yourself. All right. I have taken way too much of y'all's time. I guess an hour and a half. It's not too bad this evening. Yes, thank you, Vivian. You are absolutely correct. He is not pro-life. He's pro-birth because a lot, like people like him, a lot of these Republican legislators, they will vote to prevent abortions, but then at the same time they're voting to cut Medicaid, cut WIP, cut CHIP, and cut funding to community clinics and things like that. But they don't care about kids. They really don't. If they cared about kids, there wouldn't be a single kid in the foster care. There would be enough incentives out there for everybody to have a foster child if there was one. But there are not enough incentives to do it because they just don't care. All right, but that's Vote Smart, Open Secrets, ArcLeg. All these different things are super important. Make sure you do check them out. You know, there's just so much. Let me see actually. All right, let me go to my website. Um, I'm going to, let me see here. I'm going to ballot access. Is it hidden right now? It says it's not hidden, but it definitely is hidden. Ballot access information. Okay, so it's still here. come here. More. See, I don't see it. Oh well, I'll get this fixed and I'll make sure this ballot access tab is. Try menu settings, show and navigation. There we go. All right, let me publish this. Um, so now y'all should be able to go back through, and I'll just leave it on here for a little bit in case you do want to read some of these documents to kind of see uh, what is going on with all of that. Welcome, check out my new announcement. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna have to fix that. All right, so now you should be able to go into ballot access, one of two, the opposition to renew, all that good stuff. So for each different thing, you can download the PDF or you can just view the court documents here because I want to be as transparent as possible, as always. So for the very, very, very few people who say I'm not transparent, I really am. It's all right here for y'all. It's all on the table. Awesome. All right. Well, hey, let me see if there's any more questions. Ask your questions real quick before I peace out. Yeah, Blue Hog bite me exactly. I'm still exploring a libel lawsuit for defamation against Blue Hog for the lies that he published about me. My wife doesn't want me to do it, but I might see what it'll cost to do it. And if there was a special election one, I would run as an independent. Whether they required it or not, that's what I would run as. Yeah, exactly, Sharon. He's supported by the companies who don't want to pay decent wages or offer benefits to their employees. All right. Owned by landlords. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm all caught up. Oh, and thank you, Starla. I appreciate you joining me and asking me awesome questions every week. You're my YouTube viewer. Not a lot of people watch me on YouTube, which is really too bad, honestly, because it's the best quality video. Most of my supporters are watching on Facebook, and then not too many right now on Twitch and Twitter. Twitter was up to like 30 something earlier, and it kind of died down as I started going through the ballot access stuff. But anyways, no problem, Juan. And as always, let me turn the screen capture off. If you guys ever have any questions, I'm always here to answer. I answer all my own social media, emails, text messages, and phone calls. So if you have a question, reach out and I would be more than happy to answer for you. But thank you guys so much for joining me again this evening. I can't wait to see you guys next Saturday. We'll kind of see what happens with the weather getting a little bit warmer. Hopefully, Texas will be doing a little bit better. We'll see if there is. Oh, and I didn't even say. It looks like there are going to be two upcoming Democratic Party county meetings this week. On Monday will be Craighead Democratic meeting at 6 p.m. and on Tuesday will be the Boone County Democrats at 6 p.m. as well. So I believe they're both going to be virtual, and I will attend there so I can listen to their local concerns and see how we can bring their local concerns into a bigger picture type of thing. And thank you so much, Vivian. I appreciate it. Vaccine mask on, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. My name is Dan Whitfield. I am the progressive Democrat running for United States Senate to unseat and replace Senator John Boozman here in Arkansas. Thank you so much for joining me. May God bless y'all. May y'all have a good evening, and may God bless Arkansas.